Gravity in and of itself is not something which you can empirically see. You can't see it, or hear it, or feel it, or touch it. Empiricism, no, I'll tell you what I mean. No. You saw the effects of gravity. You didn't see gravity.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So if I were to ask you, you believe in gravity, but you have no evidence directly of its existence. All you have is evidence of the effects of gravity. Gravity, if I said to you, look, gravity is actually an angel. Wait a minute, what did you say there? If I said to you, look, gravity is not actually gravity. Gravity is a range of angels pulling down objects on celestial bodies like Earth or planets, planetary bodies. That's what gravity is, or in the cosmos. So gravity is in fact angels. I'm not going to call it gravity anymore. I'm going to call it the angels that pull down objects on planets. I have as much of a truth claim, a legitimate truth claim, as the scientist who's referring to gravity as gravity. The only difference is a semantical difference.
Yeah, but you're both wrong.
No, both of us have...
We're going to have the same conversation we had last time.
No, I'm not saying that...
Because it comes down to
but it's
science or God, and you chose a God.
No, look. We're not both wrong. Both of us have...
Hold up.
Let me tell you why we're not... Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Both are unproven and both semantical, then why choose one over the other? You're just as bad as the other side.
I haven't said, by the way, that I believe in angels. But I'm just saying, angels... There's no angel of gravity in Islam. I'm just saying that... I'm giving you just an example, right? If I said if, and if is a conditional.
Sure.
But what I'm saying to you is, for you to say it's both wrong, you can say it's both unfalsifiable.
Unproven,
yeah, unfalsifiable, right? To take Popperian kind of logical understanding. It's both unfalsifiable. Just because something is unfalsifiable, it doesn't mean it's wrong.
Sure, but there's no way of knowing.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
Science,
Bro,
no problem.
Place your faith in
no
science,
problem.
Which is unproven.
I'm not saying that.
Place your faith in
I'm not saying that I'm not making that point, bro. What's your name again? I forgot.
Come on.
Sorry. Darren, yeah? I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is that I'm just making I'm not talking about God now. I don't want you to confuse the discussion. No, we don't. Not whenever you see me, just because I'm Muslim, it doesn't mean I'm always going to be talking about God. Right? I can have discussions on other things as well. Okay, I can. What I was saying to you is this: the point I was making to you, an overarching point, was that just because something is given a scientific, and I think you agree with this, right? Just because something is given a scientific label. So I was giving the example of gravity. Gravity is a pulling force.
As far as we know, yeah.
Okay, or pushing force, or whatever you want to call it, depending on what theory you want to go with, right? Now here's the thing. The thing of gravity itself, we said, can't be empirically justified. The effects of gravity is what we see. So my point was that if I were to replace the word gravity with gremlins or angels or whatever, I'd have as much right to do that from a philosophical perspective as the scientist has.
We understand gravity, even semantically, as the effect of gravity, and just call it at that, almost like...
Perfect.
The way in which we understand something is the effect of it.
Would you accept... Yeah, excellent. I would say, no problem, that's very nice. But then you've given us a nice premise to start off our discussion, our theological discussion. Because I know you wanted to talk about God, didn't you?
Now it shows his
Now,
face.
what's your name again? I forgot mine.
Jordan, man.
Jordan, nice to meet you, man. Are you religious person or...?
I'm more scientific.
More scientific, okay. So it's perfect you said that, right? I'm happy you said this. Because you said that we can understand something through its effects. You know, there's a beautiful, interesting quote of the Arabs. One Arab man, he said, Al-ba'iratu tadullu ala al-ba'ir. Said that the entrails, or you could say the entrails of the camel is proof that the camel was there. Yeah? Oh,
Footprint.
Yeah.
Or the camel.
You know, your footprint, whatever. It's yeah? So here the point is the effect of something gives us reason to believe of something. Gravity is a perfect example of that. You've never seen gravity. You've never heard gravity. Empirically, you can't substantiate gravity. You can only see the effects of gravity. Now I'll say to you the same thing about the universe. Now you might have never seen the cause of the universe. We've never seen the cause of the universe, but we've seen the effect of it. Now the point is, since we've seen the effect of it, can we apply the same logic to the universe as we've applied to gravity? Remember, when I asked you about gravity, the first thing you did was you grabbed your bottle and you dropped it to show me that, look, these are the effects of gravity. Now look, I'm saying the same thing about the universe. The effects of the universe, or the result of a universe, is that we have a finely tuned system. And by that I mean, and not an aesthetically pleasing, I'm talking about a universe which allows for any kind of life to exist. That's a finely tuned universe with systems, motions, consistencies, harmony, synchronization, a life, time, space, 3D, all of that.
And at the same time, chaos and we can't comprehend it. It's intangible at the same time.
Chaos is another way of saying randomness. And randomness doesn't exist. Randomness is a word human beings use to describe that which they don't understand.
Yeah. I agree with you.
So here, just because, and this is called the argument from ignorance. It's a very classical logical fallacy. Just because you don't understand something, you don't understand a black hole, you don't understand the problem of evil, it doesn't mean that this result is that this thing is falsified as a result.
That the result is it's the creation of a God.
No, that's the gap of the God of the gaps argument. But you can say the same thing of science. You have the science of the gaps argument.
Both the same.
Yeah. So the point I'm making, taking a step back here, the question is, we have the effect, which is the universe. What is the cause of this universe?
What do you think the cause of the universe? You asking him?
No, he's asking him.
If we agree with if we agree with the cause and effect premise, what's the cause of the universe?
I mean, there's lots of different theories that come from lots of different ideals.
So if we choose one of them that you're convinced as a man of science.
I mean, the options open to us at the moment in this argument of creationism.
Yeah.
And the Big Bang or science. I mean, I will say I don't know what the cause of the universe is. I don't have a clue. And I don't know if I could even comprehend it, maybe.
How do you know that gravity is either a pulling or a pushing force? How do you know that? Because the two theories that we have, really, Newtonian / Einsteinian, is either it's going to be a pulling force or pushing force. I mean, that's the two options you have. It's not really that difficult. How do you know that gravity is either a pulling force or a pushing force? How do you know that?
Dependent on where the mass of the gravity is, like, and where you are in relation to it.
So if I have this thing here, or if you have that, it's going to go down. It's going to go from an elevated ascension position to a descended position, or a declined position. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, go on.
And that downward motion suggests either something is pushing or something is pulling.
Probably.
Isn't that right? I mean, I know physics is much more complicated than that. I'm not a physicist. But it's logical, isn't it?
Physicists would say it's relatively a pulling because of the attraction of mass.
No problem. I'm saying, how do we come to a conclusion that it's either one of those two things? How?
Physicists would come to a conclusion.
But you're using a kind of deductionism. Physics and logic are inextricably linked. Physics, because the language of physics is mathematics at the end of the day. Geometry is part of maths, and logic is part of geometry is logical, right? So from that perspective, if we're talking about gravity, we're talking something pulling, something pushing, something compressing, something like this, right? Now, why did we come to that conclusion? We came to that conclusion with a deduction, a kind of inference to the best explanation. We say, okay, well, look, if it's coming down, either something is pushing it or something is pulling it. Now, I want you to apply the same exact logic, because you're 100% sure, and I'm 100% sure that gravity exists. I'm not sure if you're 100% sure. You know, okay, maybe not yourself. But that there is a force that's pulling or pushing or creating this kind of movement, okay? And that they call it in the vernacular, in the scientific vernacular, gravity. Let's apply the same logic to the universe. So we have... Pardon?
They're two different things, though. You're trying to equalize them. Clearly, the creation of the universe is clearly different from dropping your cup on the floor, bro.
Well, no, look.
I can conclude that my cup dropped. Can't conclude,
I'm not really trying to make analogies with it. I'm just trying to
Well, then stick to the universe. Forget the gravity thing.
we make decisions on a daily basis as to what is what. So in other words, why we believe in certain things.
Dad's your dad and all that. Yeah, we did that, bro.
No, but not just your dad's your dad, but we make deductions on inferences on a daily basis, right? Physicists do the same things, logicians do the same things, and mathematicians do the same thing. Everyone does the same thing. Now what I'm saying is that the same way as we've come to inferences about gravity, we can do the same thing about the universe. It's not that difficult. Just because there is a narrative now, and I'm going to use the word, but it's a post-colonial narrative, yeah?
Wow. That was deep.
Yeah, it is a post-colonial narrative, right? It is a Western, in my opinion, it's a Western narrative, right? A post-enlightenment narrative.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, which is a postmodern narrative in many ways as well, which is pushing us to believe in that atheism is some kind of alternative theistic explanation.
But we ain't atheists.
I'm not saying that you are.
Going back to the universe and the way that scientists are looking at how it was created, or almost like the cause. They're looking at the relativity of stars to us and the way in which they're moving away, and tracing it to a source almost, you know, like a cause or somewhere where it started.
Singularity.
Yeah, or the Big Bang, or saying that it started here and then spread out. They can just like we've done, like you said, with the cup, and we're looking at that. That's the evidence maybe that we have of the effects of the universe, the effects of what's happened. But the cause, we're back to square one.
Perfect.
They can say we think because of this evidence, or because of this data that we've collected,
yes,
that the universe was likely to start this long ago, or from here, and it started from one point almost, like, or I don't know, like a singularity. But,
what my premise is today? Sorry.
That is a lot closer to anything than a creationist theory.
No.
A creationist theory is a hell of a lot more of an ideal than a gathering of data. It's metaphysical. It isn't real. It's something that's almost like a myth, a fantasy.
Okay, well that's interesting. New, as I say, new atheist jargon, right? Which maybe you've been affected by because of primary or secondary socialization. No problem. But what I was going to say to you is that...
Tell him how, because he doesn't know, he has no clue, he said by his own admission, he doesn't know how the universe came to, what caused the universe. So from the Islamic point of view...
No, we'll come to that. But what I was going to say was that, look, my premise today is that God is as provable as gravity. That's my premise, right?
And you've already proven that gravity is kind of...
Yeah, no, what I'm saying to you is that we believe in gravity because we see the effects of gravity. We believe in God because one of the reasons, not the primary reason, there are other reasons, but one of the reasons from not only a sense datum perspective, like inference and using empiricism and cause and effect, but another perspective, which is a deductionist perspective, we can believe in God as a result of the effects of God. Now, you don't need to use the word God.
Let's go into the effects of God.
Let's not use the word God. An entity, right? An entity that created the universe is sustaining the universe, maintaining the universe, etc.
Why don't we, instead of saying an entity of universe, let's say just the universe, what is? So what is an effect of the universe? Like an example of an effect of God.
Now what I'm saying is, look at the things that the universe exhibits. So the universe exhibits order, law, and law and order really, yeah? Because there are laws of physics.
Oh no, but where's the order and the law of what we're talking about with gravity? Like we know
there's a law of gravity.
We know that
there is
a law, but we don't know.
There's gravitational constants. There's lots of things, right? What I'm saying is,
you're saying we don't know what gravity is.
No, we do know. Look, we know gravity through its effects, right? Yeah. But you're confident, and so is a physicist, to say that gravity exists. Now the reason why is because we see the effects. Now what I'm saying is the same thing. Look at the things that the universe exhibits. The universe exhibits order, law. The universe exhibits sophistication, complication. Now the same thing I'll say to you, we've used the effects of something to kind of infer the cause. Same thing we can say about the universe. The fact that there's a creation, sophisticated creation, or let's not even use the word creation, let's use the word sophisticated entity, right? Yeah, we did jump, sorry, I apologize. There's something which is sophisticated, it's an entity in place. The fact that that exists may suggest, yeah, or should suggest, from an inference perspective, that there was a cause which caused that into being. Now, what is that cause? That's when we start talking about the attributes of the cause. Does it have intelligence? Does it have knowledge? Does it have the power and creative capacity to put the universe into being? Because a cause is defined. Because a cause is defined as something which brings rise to phenomena. Forget this.
But is it comprehensible?
What is?
The cause of the cause that we're talking about. You're saying intelligence, but we're using
Can you comprehend it?
Words and ways of understanding that we know.
Can you comprehend it right now? If I said to you there's an intelligence,
that's what I've said. Like about the cause of the universe, I don't know it, and I'll gladly admit that I don't know what the cause of the universe.
No, but what I'm saying to you is, you know gravity through its effects. Why can't we use the same principle with the universe?
Because the universe. But it's hard for us to compare gravity with the universe.
Why? It's a part of the universe.
We can use the analogy of gravity to look at like how we understand things, like really like a real scientific truth, like or a law of nature. But almost like the conclusion that we came to with gravity is there's something that we don't know, or we know in effect, but we don't know that top. So it is like a leap of faith to say, when we're looking at the universe and applying that same theory.
And it's a leap of faith to say that gravity exists.
It's
the same leap of faith when you say gravity exists, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, have you ever doubted gravity?
But I can say gravity exists and also say I don't understand it.
Yeah, I think that's
that's no problem. No, that is a fair point. But that is called the fallacy of incredulity. You say something is so amazing.
That's jargon, man. What does that mean?
Hey, I'll tell you.
No, go on, explain it.
So the fallacy of incredulity, so it's an informal logical fallacy, which is it's applicable in some cases. Something is so complicated that I just don't get it. But just because you don't understand it, it doesn't mean it's not true.
No, but we're not denying gravity. We just don't know how it works, for example.
Okay, but we
don't deny the existence of the universe. We just can't. Exactly.
We don't need to know the intricacies. We know on a fundamental level that it's some kind of force.
Sure, but imagine take this paper cup. I know the intricacies of how it was made. Use plastic, paper, etc. I know the intricacies, so I can make a determined conclusion that it was made like this. I don't know the intricacies.
I like this discussion, though, guys. I mean, I like it. Well, no. I'm happy with this. Now, I want to wrap up.
Intricacies help you determine things.
No, yeah.
If you don't know the intricacies, making a conclusion might be a leap of faith in the scientific or the religious, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I think that you're right. They're not unimportant details, for sure. And I think there's a lot of agreement here in what we're saying. And I think what we need to do, I swear to God, I'm not doing this on purpose. We've had that discussion, cause and effect. I just want to say one more thing, completely off topic. Wait a minute, why am I changing topic? One more thing, if you want to say something before, are you going to shake my hand? I don't mind, but I just want to say one more thing, okay? I want to ask you, I want to throw it out there, man. I do. I want to really throw it out there. Just one thing. We talked about cause and effect, whatever. You've heard my argument, you know it. I don't think you need to hear more of it. I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to do this with people like yourself, because I think it's really important now. Sorry, I'm a touchy guy, I touch a lot of people. All right? I want to ask you a question. What's your purpose of life?
Change the topic nicely.
No, we've done it. We've done the topic now. We're going to start regurgitating information or repeating ourselves. So that's done. Let people think about that. Second question. What's your purpose of life? What is the purpose of life?
Would you be willing to tell us yours first?
Yeah, no problem. Do you know what? I've been reading some...
Can I say one thing?
Yes, of course.
He's wearing trainers, socks, whatever. Everything has a purpose.
His purpose of life is to
wait,
I get you.
So, go on.
Everything he's wearing has a purpose. Who's more complex, him or his socks? Tell me that.
You've been listening to Ali Dawah, haven't you?
No, who's more complex? Let them answer, man.
Okay, let them answer.
Him. Alright, does the socks design?
Huh?
Is his socks designed?
Yeah, they've been designed. Yeah.
Did they have a designer?
Most likely, yeah.
Did they have a purpose?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? give it any purpose. To keep his feet warm.
Yeah, keep his feet warm, make them comfy.
So that's what he's asking. Everything you're wearing has a purpose. Do you have a purpose? This is what he's asking. Objective purpose. Sorry,
I'd like to think I'm more complicated than a pair of cotton socks.
Of course you are.
Oh no,
But you have a same purpose as that.
It's good that you said objective
I feel
purpose.
like
That's interesting.
It's very hard to answer that question because I'm always changing, and that purpose might be different every year, maybe. But it's a very hard.
But his question was a very legitimate one because he didn't ask about just your purpose. He said objective purpose. Is there a reason for us to be here in the world?
Not life purpose. I want to be that.
Yeah. What is the reason for human beings to
That's
be?
the oldest question on earth, isn't it?
What do you think the answer to it is?
I don't think we know.
So
Because you could be a Jew or a Christian, bro. You would have the same answer, but you're not. You're a Muslim.
Okay. What do you think? That's good. Okay.
I mean, yeah. Why are human beings here? What's our objective purpose? I don't know. I think we just are. I don't think we even need a purpose.
He got you, Jordan.
Okay. Very good.
One thing.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Jordan,
That's very nice. Very nice. Go
it's not
on.
rational to say
Yeah.
something small as a tissue paper has a purpose, either wipe your backside or to use it for your nose, yet someone as complex as us hasn't got a purpose. Just
Yeah.
that.
No problem. I just.
we make a lot of purposes. We make a lot of our own purposes because
Okay.
like we need them. We attach them, or we attach ourselves to them.
You see, this is a good, interesting
Growing
argument.
up in life, we use our mind to come up with a lot of ideals and values and attach them to things.
Okay. Let me.
Find
Yeah.
purpose through
Yeah.
that. And a lot of people have made them before us, and some next guys can attach themselves to that person's values, that person's ideas.
There's two points. Yeah. Sorry.
And there's a symbiotic relationship between them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's good to break that chain and just be like, maybe we don't need to attach ourselves to a purpose so much and be a bit more free. Like,
Okay. So I was going to say to you, there's two questions here. You said we might not need it, right? That's an argument from utility. So just because you don't need something, it doesn't mean it's not true. That's the first point. The second point is that it's not true that we don't need it. In fact, most studies psychologically that have been conducted have shown that a life without purpose is usually a depressed life. Forbes magazine, the WHO, the World Health Organization ran. Yeah, no, but they've done a very large-scale sociological
I think more
experiment.
people have killed people in the name of purpose and values and ideals.
That's an interesting claim.
A meaning why somebody does something like that. It's not like a meaning.
Yeah, is there a meaning in having no meaning?
I don't think he's saying we have no meaning.
No, but is that the argument? Is it a postmodernist argument? Because if your argument is if it's a postmodernist argument that okay, we don't really need a purpose. There is no objective purpose. There is no truth even.
I mean, there's lots of them. Come on, we're not saying.
Is that the argument?
I mean,
Is there a truth out there that we have to discover? Is there a truth that we have to discover?
I don't know. I don't know if there is a truth that we have to discover. And I feel like sometimes it's a bit of a fallacy chasing that truth because we never get there.
I want to say something interesting.
We attach ourselves to some next thing.
That's good. So now you understand. It's good because you had the objection of, okay, we might not need a purpose, but once again, we're looking for truth. If you feel like
I know, but maybe I'm not.
Maybe you're not true. Perfect. That's very honest of you, right? Exactly. No, honestly, fine. That's perfect. That's fair enough. What I'm saying is that if the intention is a quest for truth, then it has to supersede or has to go beyond utility functionality, or it has to go beyond our desires. So we might say, okay, I don't need a purpose. I don't want a purpose. I don't, whatever. But what you need and what you want doesn't always correlate to the truth. So if our quest was one for the truth, then those arguments are interesting or as a subjective experiment, but they're not actually that useful in terms of finding an objective reality, right? Okay, so what I was going to say was, taking a step back.
Can I just say?
Yeah, of course.
Most people's answer to the question, I think, meaning, is happiness. And that comes in all different shapes and forms. Like we're so dynamic.
Why is happiness important?
Human beings experience life objectively
Happiness
or
is subjective.
subjectively.
No.
It's massively.
No, yeah.
So meaning, I don't think we can say, oh, it's objective. It needs to be this one truth. There's this solid truth in the universe that we are.
Yeah,
What I would say is, if you want to address this question, does human being have a purpose? And in your case, you want to find out the purpose. For argument's sake, let's suppose human beings have a purpose, but we want to find out. The best way to find out is, how can we find out? So, the premise that me and Mohammed are going by is, how can we find out? Can we ever know ourselves? You see, who made that the purpose of the socks? Yeah. No, the purpose of the socks. As you said, who made the purpose of the socks? The designer, isn't it? Yeah, so from point of view that the Muslims are coming from, human beings can never know the objective purpose by themselves. It has to come from the designer, and logic dictates that.
Right.
You would agree with that? Would you agree with that premise? Let's start off with that premise.
I mean, no, because I don't think we were created.
So what I'm saying is, listen to the question carefully. Yeah? If it's only befitting, if we were to find out the purpose of human beings, it's only befitting to say the creator of human beings, it should only come from there, the objective purpose.
Yeah,
but do you agree to that? It's only befitting.
Maybe if you look at things through that viewpoint, then you see that it's subjective because there's this soul creation. It's like, but that's not what I believe.
If we were to find out the purpose of human beings, logically dictates it's only befitting to say objectively, if we were to find out, and whoever made human beings, the entity that made the human being, it can only come from that entity.
Well, then you would have to determine who the entity
look.
Well, let's go in that first premise.
Fine. Let me just tell you the answer, the Islamic answer, right? I mean, you don't have to. You can do what you want with it. I'm just going to give you, right? So we believe that your purpose of life is to worship God. The Quran says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We haven't created the jinn and the human beings except that they may worship me. Okay. So really and truly, what is worship? Worship is ultimate submission. What is Islam? Islam is ultimate submission. To who? The creator, the sustainer, the cause, the one who created the universe, okay? So basically that's our answer. That we're here for a reason, we're here for a purpose. The objective reason is to worship God. You're invited to do that, right? And to look into Islam and the Quran. And because we believe this, the Quran is the last and final revelation of God. And these things there, okay? That's it really. Think about it. If I were to ask you to read something, read chapter 50 to the end of the Quran, which will take about 30 minutes to finish reading. That will give you an understanding of the Islamic thesis from the primary source material.
No, you keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
Really nice.
Thank you. You too, man. Thank you.